Welcome to Polygon.com. I'm joined today with members of Team Outer Wilds, or actually I should probably say Team Mobius Games, Aviman Shum and Alex Beecham. How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
Great, thanks for having us on.
No big deal. I wanted to bring you guys onto our YouTube channel today to talk a little bit about your work here, Outer Wilds. Now, this is a game that's just been launched on a brand new crowdfunding model, and that's called fig.co, and we'll talk a little bit more about that funding model, which is unique for a number of different reasons later. But more than anything, I wanted to talk to you guys about kind of where this game comes from creatively. It's known for among other things, winning the IGF Seamus McNally Grand Prize this year. But tell me about the inception of this game, gentlemen.
Sure. So this game started. Wow, it's been almost 3 years now. Has it been 3 years? It's been 3 years.
Something like that, yeah.
Some crazy. As my thesis project at the USC Interactive Media Program. And so, we have to, with a 3-year program, and for your third and final year, you have to do a year-long project. And so, Outer Wilds it started out as a bunch of small little prototypes. Knew I wanted to do something about space exploration, and really just about exploration in games in general. And just really started messing around on some of those early prototypes. There was one where you flew a little model rocket and then jumped into a much bigger version of that, which made it into the final game. Had a little, there's like a prototype essentially of what became the Quantum Moon. And then for that year, we brought on kind of a team of students, and everyone kind of contributed, and it just sort of evolved into this slightly over-ambitious thing that is, we're still working on.
When I spent time with it around the time of this past Game Developers Conference, I was really taken aback by just the scope of it. What is going on in this game? Pitch this game to our audience.
Oh no. Every time we do this, I feel like I say something different. So to me, Outer Wilds is a space exploration game where you play as sort of this member of this fledgling space program that we see in the village here. And you get in your spaceship and you go into space, and your goal is really just to explore this kind of crazy miniature solar system that is all these things are happening. It's a place that changes over time, and you just want to figure out kind of what is happening and why. And as you play, you sort of start to discover. You sort of start to have questions that you can then go find answers to, and so it starts to take on kind of a bit of a mystery component. But it's really sort of a game about the spirit of space exploration and sort of going to new worlds.
If I can be a little more succinct with it, it's a backpacking aesthetic in a space environment. It's got this wonderful, rustic, folksy charm while still exploring space. And while you have No Man's Sky, which has this procedurally generated massive galaxy, that's not the point of Outer Wilds. Outer Wilds has this very meticulously designed solar system that has all of these crazy, wild things happening on these different planets and moons that have really been pinpointed and created in a way for the player to experience this awe and wonder. So we like to say that it's kind of like Majora's Mask meets Apollo 13, where we have this there's this crazy time loop involved, and the dangers of space, and you're kind of as opposed to telling the player exactly what to do, we kind of give them the keys to explore that solar system.
And here we are basically taking off from the Kokiri village and heading into space as this group of beings knows it. Now there's this museum in the game, and I want to talk a little bit about that museum as well. So there's a precursor race in the fiction of this game. And so correct me if I'm wrong, but that museum is filled with artifacts from that precursor race?
Yeah, there's stuff in there that's also just from around the solar system, but a lot of it is, you're right, it's very the kind of game's mythology, very race.
And so in going out into the universe as you guys have created it, what are we going to find there? Are we going to find answers to what happened to this precursor race? Are we going to find a solution to the doomsday clock that's kind of laying over the entire experience? What's out there?
So
we don't want to give too much away.
I say I won't spoil anything, but yet essentially, the game really, so like I said before, it is about answering questions. And so all we tried to do was sort of build this space for players to explore, but we tried really hard to make it a kind of space that rewards curiosity. And like if you want, so if you ask like a question, like, oh, hey, what's the deal? Like, why am I in a time loop? Or what happened to this race? The answers, you can find the answers to those questions. That was really important to us.
There is this one really awesome prototype that Alex created in processing. I'm not sure if you're familiar with processing. It's just it's a quick tool for kind of making digital stuff. It's made in Java. And basically, Alex created this amazing prototype, which we hope to show people sometime in the future, that kind of lays out all of these mysteries across the solar system and how there's this massive web leading players in different directions and how you go from one to the other. So yeah, there's like a lot of mysteries and a lot of answers out there. And that's really what the focus of the production will be. It's just actually implementing all of those in the engine.
One of the things you mentioned was the backpacking aesthetic to this game. And I love the press materials that you guys sent out around the time of GDC this year were just so endearing to me. There's this scene, probably several scenes, I think, around the universe where you're discovering this fully suited astronaut sitting at a campfire, roasting marshmallows, playing a banjo. Mm-hmm. How did you guys get to that image, though? It's so just fantastically unique, in my opinion.
Oh, no, thanks. Wow, it's one of those things where way back when I started working on this, it started as a space exploration game. Initially, like, more of a traditional, but already had the kind of the mini planet thing going, and I'm a big like kind of backpacking, hiking enthusiast. And just, I don't know, that sort of sense of, you're out by a campfire at night, you're looking up at the stars, kind of, wondering what it would be like to go there. It just seemed like a natural fit. And then when we were at USC, one of my cohorts suggested that, hey, why don't you try making an emotional prototype for the game? Don't try to make any systems or mechanics. Just focus on what do you want players to feel. And that ended up with a little prototype where you roasted a marshmallow on a planet and then watched the sun kind of go supernova in the distance. And of course, that sort of set the tone for what was to come.
And now tell me some more about the musician that you're working with for this game's soundtrack, because I'm stuck on it. I've been listening to it all day.
Yeah, we're Andrew Pollard is his name. And no, he does just phenomenal work.
So he, like a lot of the people at our studio, went to USC and he did the film scoring program there. But I think was always fascinated with games and was a big games player. So the longer that he's worked with Alex before coming to Mobius Digital, he got more and more into interactive and understanding like what music means in an interactive setting, because it's not just music, it's a lot of other things as well. So he was really there from the ground floor in terms of like building that aesthetic and then establishing that as well. And I think he was also like a classically trained trumpeter.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I feel like that even if there's not as many trumpets in the actual score, I think it kind of comes through.
No, I worked with him on a few things, and he's just fantastic to work with. It's just so much fun, trying to, especially for a game like this, where we're like, oh, how do we marry, a sense of like being in outer space with this sort of folksy campfire tune, banjo strumming astronauts, and he just did a really great job.
When I was talking with Massi Oka, who's the founder of Mobius Digital, which is the company that you guys work for, he had nothing but fantastic things to say about the team that he had there and the team that he had working on this game. But, how did you guys all come to be working for Hiro Nakamura here? How did this happen?
Well, again, not to continually plug USC, but when he decided that he wanted to start a games company, because he actually has a big games and technical background. He was a big World of Warcraft guild leader, and then he worked at Industrial Light and Magic, George Lucas's VFX firm, before becoming an actor. So he was really into games, and he came to USC, and he eventually found our friend Laurent Verneau, and asked him to kind of help start this company, Mobius. And Laurent and Alex are kind of best buds. We're like close friends in their design at the design program. So
we both like making weird exploring stuff, I guess. Like, we bounce ideas off each other. It works well. I was at Microsoft for right after graduation for about 7 months. But an opening came up here. He was like, "Hey, like we have a spot. Do you want to come back and work on crazy indie games again?"
And then so I was from the same program as well, and so was the technical artist that we just hired. So USC is definitely kind of the grounds which we all kind of grew out of. And so we're lucky we have a really close-knit, sweet team that's just really nice to work with. They're really good people, which is really important for us. So we're really excited about it.
And now you guys find yourselves working to fund this game through a very unique and brand new funding model. It's actually just, now that we're talking, a few hours since your campaign has gone live, and it's called fig.co, and it is a crowdfunding site that offers both rewards-based backing opportunities, but also equity investment opportunities. Tell me, what's so important to you guys about allowing your community to purchase equity in your game?
It's in downtown LA, which we love as East Siders, but there's not too many other game makers in our vicinity. So being able to not just be a part of an investment community, but a game making community that FIG is trying to create is a huge thing for us. And on top of that, the equity, I think it's exciting that, people have this idea that crowdfunding is the definitive end of how crowds, money, and games and game makers can interact. But I think opening it up to equity is opening it up to the community and the audience to say that, hey, we understand that you care about these things and we want you to be even more invested in it. So I think there is some risk involved, but really they're trying to open the door even more to the people that care about those games. And Outer Wilds has had such a community that cares about it. We're excited to be a part of that opportunity in this moment.
You do talk about that risk a little bit, and I don't want to dwell on it too much, but do you think that the relationship between you and your community changes at all once equity is involved?
Well, that's a good question. I think the nature between the community and the game maker changes already when crowdfunding is involved, in terms of an expectation of just getting the game. How much more it will change when equity is involved is a really good question. I guess the flip side of that is maybe you'll have your community pushing your PR and marketing in ways that you would have never imagined, because it's suddenly an important thing for them as well.
It is another thing I guess worth mentioning is that for us, because we're the first. For other games, it will be more open, but for Outer Wilds, I think it's only the qualified. What do they call it? Qualified investors?
The certified investors.
Certified investors. So with this game, at least for us specifically, it's not everyone has access. Can be an investor.
So what is next for your team? What is next for you guys to work on in the immediate future? What's that timeline of milestones look like for you?
Well, it's a unique schedule for a game because, there's, in a certain sense, we're doing just a couple months of pre-production. In a certain sense, in a different sense, there's been, 2.5 years of pre-production, which is funny. But now that we have our whole team assembled, we're really excited to just be in the production of just filling out this solar system and finishing the game.
Yeah, right now, I mean, a lot of my time, it's, kind of ramping everybody up. I'm trying really hard to make sure that, we retain, there's a cohesion in the world between, the art, the sound, kind of one of those things where every little detail, because the world is going to get a lot more detailed, and we want to make sure that everything we add, ties into this sort of, this embedded story we're already trying to tell.
Well, yeah, and one of the beautiful things about Outer Wilds is that it's existed in Alex's brain for so long, and not just in his brain, but in prototypes and awesome alpha versions at WinIGF. But one of the cool things about actually getting into production and why we need this crowdfunding is because we're actually getting more people to commit all of their time to making it, which is what it really needs. So a lot of what we're doing right now is just getting those ideas out of Alex's head and into the engineers' hands and their heads and the designers and the artists, so that we can have all of these people make the game together.
Yeah, no, really, it's funny. People it's like people play it and they're like, oh yeah, the art's kind of rough. I'm like, well, that mood isn't supposed to be a sphere. Like, that's a Unity primitive. That's we just never. It's a student work. So I'm just super excited already. The vertical slice we did for the crowdfunding campaign. I'm just really excited to see it sort of in that fully realized form.
So yeah, so most of the next year is just finishing Outer Wilds, which is super exciting.
Exciting, a little daunting, but yeah, no, it's gonna be. I'm excited.
Well, I'm really very excited for you and for your team. It's so nice to see ambitious, creative, and competent students rewarded with this kind of attention from some of the bigger names in independent games making. Just looking over my shoulder right now, of your $132,000 ask, you guys are pretty much just a morning into this campaign and you're already at $50,000. So that's fantastic momentum. I've been excited and pleased with what I've played so far of the game earlier this year, and I really just can't wait to see where you take it from here. So best of luck, and thanks for the time today.
No, thanks so much.
Thank you so much. We're just really excited and really humbled with everything that's transpired.